لا تخلي حدا يلاقيه. يلا هلا
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome you back in your daily lecture in these 10 days of the Hijjah with your program of Fatwa on there directly. The first question: what about the blood that comes right before the period? Does it make her stop the fasting and prayer? And it could last a whole day before the period starts or after it. Can you fast Arafah with that condition? The answer, the one that you are describing, this yellow, it has two conditions. That will be separate from the period. It's not attached to it. It's not, there is no pain of the period or any stomach aches. If that's what it is, it's not starting the fasting. It's not going to stop to the except that when it comes out, it will stop the wudu. There's a hadith of Ibn Atiyah. She said, we will not consider or take any regard to that. Meaning, this yellow discharge, they are different. So, the saying from Atiyah, after the purification, whether it's before or after, that discharge is not at the time of the period. It's not they disregard that. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, he was asked about a woman. She saw the discharge before her period, so she stopped the prayers. Then the blood came, usually. He said that Atiyah, may Allah be pleased with her, she said, we will not regard the discharge for anything. So this discharge that came before, it doesn't seem to me it is part of the period, especially if it came before the period and there is no signs of the back pain or the stomach ache or any of these signs. But if it is with the period, so it has the same thing of pain and nausea and all this, then it is part of the period, and it will stop from the things that are stopped by the haid. So she cannot pray or fast until she is pure. So in summary, so it's different with its connection with the period. So if it comes before the period or after it, separate, then it's not a period. If it is with it, that has the pain on the other side, then it's considered part of the period. This rule goes back to the woman herself, because she knows the details of it. Second question tonight: the rule of those who cut their nails intentionally. I think we have mentioned this. There is no correlation between them. Not to take something from for the one who wants to make the halal, from the things that recommended not from the thing that's going to. From the Hanbali, it's obligatory, and has either with each one of them. It's not has nothing to do with the udhiyah. Has anything to is good or not accepted. So there is no sin in either way. It is from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that is recommended. Sister, she said, I'm married. I'm in my 7th I'm pregnant, and the doctor wants to do the ultrasound. So I want to do a sonar on this child. There's no heartbeat, and I realized that hardship that I had from the infant, and I was told that it's not going to live more than 2 weeks, and I was asked that I need to do abortion, but the doctor said, if we give you this, then we'll kill him, then we'll bring him down. If they killed him with this haram, let's take it one thing at a time. Abortion, whether it is killed because of a separate reason or not, the American Muslim Jurist Association in this 12th conference they looked into the abortion, and they said the following: if it is 120 days old, and this lady already passed this period, so you cannot have the abortion, even if it is going to be having a problem, unless the doctors that are trusted, the specialists, that the pregnancy is going to put the woman at danger, then you can have the abortion whether he's deformed or not, to protect the mother. But before 120 days, if it is proven with the doctor's knowledge and the checking that he is deformed, that he will not be able to survive for too long, and his life is going to be very miserable and major pain, then you could have the abortion if the parents want to do that. So we are looking at the first part because the sister, she already over 120 days in pregnancy because she's in the 7th month. So the only way that she could have the abortion, if the doctor, they said, we have 2 choices. We either have the baby or the mother. So you don't take the branch, you keep the core. The mother is the core. And we take as far as whether whether in that country, they do the abortions, or the way it's done, like by giving a shot in the stomach. The way the baby is killed is different, but this is the only way to have the abortion, to save the mother again. there is no other reason, then it is okay. We take what is easier and more merciful on the infant. And let one of you sharpen his knife and make it easy in this slaughtering. آمين يا رب العالمين. A question, I really don't want to mention it. I want to give a question. Can you fight those who fight Islam? These are very silly questions. It has no basis. If you meant that you want to fight with your tongue, with your pen, yes, do, no problem. If you are capable of doing that, if you have the knowledge. But to fight with the hand, this has to do with the military institutions and the authority, not to the public. So please be careful what you are saying. Yes, Allah said to fight the disbelievers with your hand, with your tongue, but it's not to go and form armed groups and start problems and then bring Islam to the down. No, this is not from Allah. Allah is talking about the people, the institution, the countries, the state that believes in Islam. But you can make the jihad in your tongue, with your money, with your pen. And when you send the money, you need to make sure where you send the money, to make sure you don't support something that is terrorism or something that is wrong. And alhamdulillah, the jihad in the tongue, which needs to confront the media that is going right and left into putting doubts in people's mind, this is the time for the jihad with the tongue, with the pen. But the other part, only the countries have that authority, not individuals, not the public, not groups. Someone is asking that she had a friend, her husband died and she was with him in the hospital. Does she have to stay in the hospital or at home? Well, you need to be in the house that you lived in when her husband died. There is the hadith of Ray'an, Malik bin Sinan, and she's the sister of Sayyid al-Khudri. She asked the Prophet ﷺ to go back to her husband. Her husband went to some that he went after people with some slaves and they killed him. So she asked the Prophet she go back to her family, to her, because he didn't leave me in any place that he owns and no expenditure. It's not something that he owns, and he didn't leave no money to spend on herself. So yes, Salah Al Sawy told her, yes, you can. So she went. Then he called her back. And to repeat everything she told him. So she repeated it with her husband. So he alayhi salatu wasalam, stay in that house you built until the time passes. So So she stayed 4 months. So what the scholar they said that the woman stayed in that house until the 4 months passes by. Of course, for the necessity there is rules. If you are renting a house and the owner refused to renew the rent. So we're talking about that time of capability. So again, that he indicated that she had to stay in the house that she was in, unless there's a necessity or an entirely necessary things.
سؤال أظن أيضا أجبنا عنه من قبل قدرونا الأسئلة المتكررة نبرر الجواب عنها إلى أن ينتظر معنا.
So we are trying, inshallah, to develop a link where they'll be able to have all their answers to their questions will be established, inshallah. The question is the rule of the guaranteed is something about it's talking about the credit card that tell you that you have to pay penalty. We're talking about the Middle Eastern countries, the Muslim countries, that it is forbidden because there is alternative. There is an Islamic alternative, but here there is no Islamic alternative. So yes, you can, but you need to pay it completely, immediately, fully, so you don't get into the interest phase of it. In the Islamic countries, there is no penalties with interest and stuff like this. Then the American Muslim Jewish Association, they allowed using debit card at the time of need, and you're able to pay the whole thing, not the debit card, the credit card, and you're able to pay fully, so you don't have to get into the penalties and the interest. So he will not be under that part. So if you fail to stop it legally, stop it. So how you be on time? Sometimes that credit card has different benefits. Give you sale or foreclose, for example. They give you 10% or 20% off, and that's only an credit card with the same conditions of riba. Some people say I use it to get and I immediately take my debit card and I pay immediately. So I use it just to get the discount that is given with holding one. brother is asking, and this is a youth. He said he was in love with a girl before he became practicing Muslim, and there's nothing except the love, and there is no touching or legal touching, nothing like this. They wanted to get married before he became. He have a dispute with her, and then talk to each other for a long time. They did not finish the dispute, or whose fault was it, or who should apologize. After the dispute with month, the man became practicing Muslim, and he repented to Allah. Then he learned that lady don't accept anyone to come to marry her because she's waiting on him, and he want to finish the dispute first, because if it's not finished, it's not gonna go and ask for her hand. The thing is, they don't speak to each other. The girl is waiting for her to come, and he wants something from her, an apology, and each one don't know what the other person is thinking about. So what's the end? So it's allowed for the man to call her and to find a way out, instead of being like that. They change. They could discuss this and finish their dispute, and then they could know which way they need to go. Or is that something against Islam? Wallahu a'lam. If it is just like he's saying, and the accuracy of that data, it's what makes the Mufti make accurate fatwa. So there should be any problem of him to contact with her. But what is this big problem that he think that is still hanging for months, and as if like this the Second World War? Come on, you need to calm down, and you will find in your life more complicated problem with your life. And if you stopped in every position and took a position every time, you can't continue in life, especially with the people you know and someone that you want to be your partner in life. You need to ease up and don't make your life full of problems. So who is the person who didn't have a problem, or who is the only one who's always on the right side? Only Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So if you don't give up and ease up, how are you going to be able to continue in the future? You're going to find other problems with her and some pain, but you have to, and every time you find something bad, look for something good that you like from her. Every person is making mistakes, and the best people who make mistakes are the ones who repent. You want Allah to forgive you, just like you are looking for Allah's forgiveness. So I hope you deal with her the same way, to forgive. So whoever forgives and corrected, he is his reward on Allah. At the day of judgment, someone will call, where are the ones who are going to be on the merciful, their reward? And no one will stand except the people who forgive people. And a woman is asking, is it right that the one who he don't break his fast until he eat the liver on Eid? That should concern. And that's a nice question. It shows love for this religion. We tell her If it's the day of Fitr for Ramadan, the sunnah is not to go to the prayer until you take something to eat. So they could show they broke their fast. It was mentioned the day of Eid al-Adha should not eat until you go back from the Musalla. There is no evidence that is accurate, but this is how people are doing, and a lot of people said. But they did not say that you have to eat a liver in particular, or to eat dates, drink tea. It does not have to be. So if you can eat from whatever you want, the sunnah is to eat from your own here. But the sunnah is it does have to be the first thing you eat, the day of Eid, and you have required to be from the liver. No. Allah did not specify it that way, so don't make it hard on yourself. Ameen. Ameen. A question about Arafah, which is tomorrow. What is a tarif for those on making Hajj? Some people want to be like the people of Hajj. They meet in the masjid and they make talbiyah, and some take their clothes and put the ihram. So they'll be like the people who do pilgrimage. There's something that Allah, some that to look like them in the mercy of Allah, that you are with Allah, expose yourself to Allah. It is allowed, and you can have fasted, but here you don't. You can fast the day of Arafah. Allah replace you if you prevent from going to Hajj. He gave you the day of Arafah that you fasted, and Allah forgive you 2 years, one for the fast and one the future. So push hard for the fasting tomorrow. Encourage your family to do it, and those who are capable of doing it, to be like the Hajj in remembrance of Allah. It's beautiful. But to take off your clothes and to have that special remembrance of Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik as if no, there is no evidence. But to have the supplication to Allah, to glorify Allah, to go before Maghrib and sit here, remember Allah, read Quran, this is okay. But to do exactly what the Hajjis are doing, no. That's not part of what the companions of the Prophet ﷺ did. Yes, it is said that Ibn Abbas, to specify the day of Arafah, to take off your clothes. There's no evidence on it. If the thing is it sunnah or is it bid'ah, it's better to leave it so you don't have to do a bid'ah. Why? Because in the worship it has to be with Allah. When you say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, as Allah will not be worshipped except the way He alayhi salatu wasallam showed us. Otherwise everybody will follow his own urge, and there's no need to send messengers. Allah have sent the messengers so we could worship Allah according to the way that they showed us. So every good in the following the Prophet ﷺ. So stay with the order of Allah. I remember Allah saying, whomever fight Allah and Messenger and take away beside the Muslims' way. Shafi'i took from that ayah that you have to be in the same path of the believers. So Allah put a condition that he will follow the way of the believers. We say, we seek your help in getting to the straight path, and then Allah put the balance, the ones of the believers, and it is different from those that Allah is angry about. And like the Prophet said, stay with my sunnah and the sunnah of the righteous khulafa after me. When we say Allah is worshipped with what the Prophet ﷺ showed us from the understanding of the previous generations, this is extra, not to beautify the words, but we mean that understanding the previous generations is a pure evidence, whatever they agreed on. It has to be a standard to follow. Ameen. بس تعرف سبحان الله. Mother, she has a lot of buildings. She sold it. She took the money for her Hajj and distributed the best on the kids. She gave the males double the females. Did she do it with equal? We said it has to be just between kids. But what is the standard? Equality. This is the majority. The Hanabila, they took the Mirath. She used the Hanabila. It has a standard, so not a burden on her for what she did. If she did with the equality, that's the majority of the scholars on. Ameen. With my question yesterday, there's a lot of Islamic centers on internet in the United States to take the udhiyah, the money, and that will distribute from lamb or whatever you make udhiyah, and it will be mentioned her name. If I bought it, I could not say that it is aqiqah or nadhr on someone, and the intention that it is aqiqah on so and so or nadhr on so and so. Is it aqiqah or nadhr? Because in the slaughter you have to remember mention why you are slaughtering. This is a question goes to make the slaughtering directly. We have it's like when we have box for sadaqah, zakah, so on. So the institution that is taking care of the people's told her to separate. You can't say this is the udhiyah so and so, no. But it is required. This is udhiyah. So they said this is udhiyah on the people that but as representative. This is for the people nadhr. This is aqiqah. But to confuse things, you don't know what is required, so he will do it. And we live, it is very accurate. I don't want to put on every lamb your phone number, your address, your social security number. No. At least this group is for Udhiyah. This with the slaughter, you will know the Udhiyah on this and the Aqiqah on that. Inshallah, we are about, this will be organized from this masjid, inshallah. Oh my God. We have a project, was mentioned from somebody here, inshallah. Make them, enable them to what Allah please, inshallah. It will be something good for the community. My dear brothers, we love you in the sake of Allah. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal in absent to gather in His love and His paradise, and among those who listen and follow, inshallah. لا بزعل بعدين الشيخ. شد عليهم.
الله أكبر الله أكبر